Hi there. My guest today comes to us live from Italy. I'm really excited to have Heather Martel with us here today. And yes, she is on an indefinite sojourn in Europe. When we talked, she was in Italy. I think now she's probably in Cyprus. We'll have to follow up on that. But this is all part of the fun, the adventure of this trip that she's on in our conversation. We even talk about that. Should we call it a trip, or is it more than that? So the backstory is that Heather's mid-40s. She's got two kids who've grown up. They've moved on to college and out of the house. And she found herself, on her own, basically free to go exploring and start to see more of the world. She's done a lot of traveling, but this is different. This is certainly part of that digital nomad, slow travel and long-term travel perspective. As you know, on this show, we love to talk about travel, but we also love to talk about lifestyle and how people spend their time and organize and plan their time and their work as well, and how they basically put it all together. So Heather's a really fascinating example of this because she's doing it right now. She's living right now. She got to Italy earlier this year, 2026. And yeah, it's all unfolding as we speak. So we talk about a lot of deep stuff about pressure and expectations and how you talk to family about doing a trip like this. And that really interesting paradox that when we are doing something that makes us happy, fills us with joy, we project that joy onto others, and they often become more joyful as well. It's this wonderful snowball effect. Ultimately, Heather and I talk about bringing people together, forming communities, joining communities, and building what she loves to call islands in the midst of chaos. In a world full of chaos, we find islands, and we build those islands with people with, again, common interests, common values, and find ways that we can collaborate, work together, maybe just hang out, maybe just have some fun together. But those are those islands of calm and stability in a world of so much turmoil. And that's what she's doing right now. So really interesting, wonderful conversation. And let's jump over to Italy. Welcome back, everybody. I am joined by my friend Heather, who is here and joining us live from Napoli, Italia.
Ciao.
This is great. You've got a beautiful, stunning background here. For everyone who's listening, I do recommend popping over to our YouTube channel. You'll see the links in the notes, of course. Even just for a couple minutes to see where Heather is. It's stunning there. You've got a beautiful garden in the background. Is this where you're actually staying and living while you're there?
Yeah, see, sometimes it's hard. I learned a new language recently, and it was Italian, and sometimes it's difficult moving between, English and Italian, but sì, questa è mia casa ora.
Excellent.
Which means this is my house now.
Nice. Cool. Well, that's a whole line of questions in itself. Did you know much Italian before you got there?
No, I didn't know anything. I mean, I learned Duolingo I think I studied for 4 months, and then I came and then I immersed with the family, and I love the family for the villa that I'm staying at, and it's been bellissima, which is beautiful. Yeah. So, but sometimes, to be honest, when I'm working, I'm I jump between words.
Yep.
And my friend, once she speaks Portuguese and 5 languages and whatever, and she was like, "Oh, I lost my English." She was talking at a wellness event in the U.S. She's like, "Oh, I lost my English and I'm talking Portuguese now. I'm sorry." And I didn't understand at that time, but now I completely understand.
Yeah, I can relate too. The same for me. Living here, immersed in French and learning it as an adult, because I learned bits and pieces of French when you grow up in English Canada, unless you go to French immersion, which I didn't. So you really only learn French in Quebec French, and once you get the chance to live here and be immersed. And yeah, for me, that's been 14 years or so. But yeah, it's funny. There are times often when I know exactly the word I want to say, usually an adjective of some kind in French. And I can't remember how to say it in English.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Neat. Well, I mean, what brought you to Italy then? Because was it more than just learning Italian?
I never thought I would even come to Italy, to be honest with you. My first time this is my 3rd or 4th time in Italy. The first time I met a woman on a train.
Oh, yeah.
And Rebecca, and Rebecca, and we're still best friends to this day. We talk every day. We just talked 5 seconds ago.
Nice.
And it's so cool because she was having a hard day and she couldn't get her bags on the train, and I helped her with that. And then we became best friends. And now, 3 years later,
Yeah.
we're best friends, and we talk every day, and we're like, we support each other along the road. That's the best way I can say it.
Nice.
So that's like a real friend, right? It's not like your friends from high school. Cool. They're your best friends from history.
Yeah.
But your friends that you meet along the road, those are the real friends. And there's a reason for that. And they're the best friends forever.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Those are the people you choose to make part of your life. Be very intentional about
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Chosen family.
So did you go there to spend time with her then?
No, I actually was planning to go to Amsterdam and Dublin.
Okay.
And then the weather was bad. So I was like, well, I was in London.
Yeah.
I was like, well, the weather looks bad there. So I might as well go to Italy. And it wasn't on the top of my bucket list, honestly. It was like, one day I'll go to Italy, but not today. And then I was like, well, the weather looks better. So I guess I'll go there.
Yeah.
So I went there and I got on the train and I met Rebecca.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. And she's amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing.
So how long have you been in Italy this time around, this trip?
Almost 3 months. My 90 days is coming up in the area.
Yeah.
I can't say the word Schengen.
Schengen? Schengen.
Schengen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. The old Schengen Shuffle.
Yeah. Anyway, yep. I'm doing the shuffle. So now I'm looking at Cyprus for the next adventure. Yep.
Nice. Well, let's bring it back. So how are you able in this, phase of your life to be in position where you could do this, where you could go and live abroad in Europe as the case may be? Tell us a bit about maybe the last few years, whatever it is, but that brought you to this point of wanting to do this and also being able to do this just practically.
Well, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur every year of my life, except for I think I was an employee for about 2 years of my adult life. I've always been an entrepreneur. But, Scott Brills, actually, I'm going to throw his name out there. He was a huge inspiration for my life. And I met him early on in the day. And then I was like, oh, that's what I want my life to be. But I had young kids then. And we met through Rotary. And now it's like my kids are grown. They're doing great. My son is an actor, doing very, very well. My daughter graduated from high school. She went off to college with her high school sweetheart, whom she's still with. And then that kind of allowed an open window for my son, who, it was funny. One day we had a choice. Like, one of my friends was like, hey, there's an audition for Oliver. And I told my son, do you want to get ice cream or do you want to go to this audition? And we were like, yeah, I don't know. And then we were like, well, let's go to the audition. And it was for Oliver, the play. And
cool.
So they made me in the background because my voice was no good whatsoever. It used to be, but not anymore. But he got a lead role. And then now he is a big actor at NYU, signed with like big companies and blah, blah, blah. Independent.
Wow.
And my daughter and her boyfriend are still together after 8 years. And they ended up starting a retail company. And so that like opened the door to freedom for me. So I was like, boom, 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 apply for jobs. And I was flipping houses at the time. I have a master's degree in education, principal for schools. But then I saw a need, fill a need, see a need, fill a need. And so I saw like, okay, this kid is kind of talented, so I better find a job. So then I found a job in commercial real estate, went to New York, Fifth Avenue penthouse, living and all that stuff. Cool. Wow. That's great. So lived in the penthouse on the Upper West Side for a bit, bought the Florida house, did all the things. That's not happiness though. So I ended up selling the house, and I'm still trying to get rid of all my quote unquote shit. But the artwork, what's important to me now is artwork, like the industrial things from the city that I was born in, Detroit, and a bunch of other things. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are important to me, but freedom ultimately is the most important thing. And also I recognize that when I moved to New York, I think my son was like 14, 15 years old, and he was flying in a plane left and right, and it created a lot of independence, and now he is highly successful. And I think I give myself credit for that, because it's about like living your true life. And so I'm meeting with some of my friends who have younger kids, and they're like, should I put my kids in school? And I'm like, no, dude, no. No buena idea. In Italian, not a good idea. Because a life better lived is a life through experience. And I think, that's what we're living in right now.
Yeah. Well, so is this kind of lifestyle something that you had thought about, over all those years of raising the kids, that eventually someday you'd have this kind of freedom and flexibility?
Well, like I said, I knew Scott Brills years ago, and I think he was kind of my inspiration because I saw him living, we met through Rotary, and I was like, wow, cool, what a great mindset. So I think the mindset idea led me to this lifestyle, and it took me maybe 20 years to get there, but now I'm here, and it's like, it's amazing. It's really, really amazing. Nice. But, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and if you have little kids, young kids, it's difficult. But I don't think it's that difficult, because most people think like, oh, you have to buy a house, you have to settle down and do all these things. But there's been a long story that I won't get into with my family, with my kids. But ultimately, like, it wasn't traditional, and I don't regret it because they're both successful, and now I'm living my dream. Sure. So I would say, like, do whatever your dream is, and like allow your family to come along with you, because that is the dream.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, in our case, we've thought about, the kind of global world schooling type traveling family. And in a sense, we tried it 3 years ago in Portugal. We were there for roughly 3 months. And I was working a fair bit at the time doing, editing production stuff. And it was just so draining. It was really hard to balance, like, living abroad and having that cultural immersion and trying to homeschool the kids. They were younger at the time, but still, we want to do a bit of schooling, education, and then, of course, working. And then you're planning about your travels and where you're going to go next. Like, it was a lot. And there's a lot of people in the communities that you and I float through, and I think they've often discovered that, to really make some progress with their business, or it could certainly be financial stability, but you need to kind of stay in one place. And I've gathered since you've been there in Italy is that part of your choice to stay? Because what you could say that, you want to go to Italy and explore and travel around and see as much as possible. Have you done a bit of that, or have you really mostly stayed in that one place and kind of enjoyed having that home base? No,
it's been pretty grounding, actually. And I made that on purpose because, like, I've done a lot of traveling, but this has been more like, okay, let's test the real world, like the working world. And I think I've been more productive here. I feel like I made a purposeful decision to be here and to be grounded. And you have to make a decision, in my opinion. Like, I don't know about the timeline. Like, if I told you 3 months is a good timeline, I'm not telling you the truth. But, like, for what I'm doing now, I've traveled a lot. I've said, oh, I'm a digital nomad. I want to be a digital nomad. But now I feel like I'm trying to actually live that life. And it's not as easy as it looks from the outside in. But I'm trying to practice it. And it's proving to be true. So I'm going to try it in a new location and see what happens, Yeah. And then who knows? I don't know. I think it's a process. And ultimately, like, I was talking to my friend and professional coach, which I have. Everybody needs mentors, right? And collaborators. I called them collaborators. And we were talking about, like, what is the point of life? I mean, we weren't asking the question, what is the point of life? We were like, really, we're talking about all this stuff. Like, he's a MD, neurologist, neuroscientist, blah, 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 super smart person. We're like, but seriously, for real, what is the point of life? It's happiness. It's building islands in the middle of chaos. So this world is a chaotic place, right? Right now, everybody can agree. This is absolutely insane what's going on. But how can we connect as human beings and, like, support each other as humans to come together? You have a skill. I have a skill. Everybody has a skill. How can we build these skills, the good people, the great people in the world, and create islands in this middle of chaos? And that's what I want this podcast to be about. I want it to be about connection. It's all about connection, authentic connection. And if we can authentically connect with each other, like you and I have, like we have with a bunch of people, every day. My goal each day is to connect with authentic people. And even if they're like high level business people, right? Sometimes it's going into a business meeting and it's like, rah, 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 typically back in the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, how are you doing today? Like, what's going on? What's up? And
Right.
then you have a real conversation. That's where the authentic connection comes in. So I believe that in the middle of this chaos, we can have authentic connections that build islands. And when we all come together, the islands are troppo grande. They're not troppo. That's too grand. But I mean, they're bellissima.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, hey, that's why you're here, on this podcast, and what this show is for connecting people. That's really what I've leaned into over the past year or so, and we always kind of did that, but I've really emphasized now that, and people know, you've been listening to episodes for the past year, that it's that call to action. It's like if what you're hearing from today's guest speaks to you, then don't just sit back and kind of reflect on that afterwards, but then reach out, send that email, send a message, make some kind of contact, and let them know that you're out there, because now you know that the guest is here. The guest doesn't know that you're out there listening. So make that contact, take that next step. And I just love the idea of connecting people, through common interests or values or curiosity for sure, and just bringing people together. It's a great way to do it here in the podcast. And then, of course, some of our communities, we're in the Indie Life Collective and the Puttyverse, which is the root of this podcast. It's, bringing people together. I mean, man, how do you tackle then maybe yourself on a personal level, just navigating the stress and the anxiety of this unstable world that we're in, especially as you're traveling? Because how would you feel? Where do you feel more stable? Maybe is it while you're traveling, or is it the thought that maybe you should go back home? Maybe you should do something that supposedly seems more stable. Like how do you find the best stability for you in this world of chaos?
What's really funny? You say go back home. Ew, I can't say I feel that way anymore. Go back home. And I have my family. I love my family. My family is always first. And I told them, like 100%, if you ever need me, I'll be there. Give me one day and I'll be there. And I've asked permission from all of my family, like, hey, am I crazy or am I doing the right thing? I've asked my mom, my dad, my kids, everything. My grown kids, by the way. I said, like, am I crazy or am I doing the right thing? And they all said, I give you support. Which means everything to me. If one person in my family said, Heather, I need you to be back here, I would be back in one day, no problem, wherever I am in the world. But they all said, no, it's good. You're happy. You're happy, so therefore go forth. Which I really appreciate. And that brings my family closer to me. And my family is becoming healthier, happier, all these things because I'm happy. So I feel like it's like paying off in the long run, like me being happy is like paying it forward to my family. I don't know. It's strange. I never thought about it that way. I used to think, oh, if you make everyone else happy, then you'll be happier. No, that's not the case. If you are happy, then everyone else around you is going to be happier. So you're like literally spreading the joy from all over the globe.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's the paradox, isn't it? Huh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Wow. So in that sense, do you see this trip? I don't even know if we call it a trip. I mean, it's you could be. Do you see do you see that?
Lifestyle.
At least when it comes to Europe, that you'd be there indefinitely, and what others might see as perhaps chaos and instability, are you framing it more as, well, the type of challenges we all have to deal with of if fixing a house or paying bills or mortgages and stuff like that? Your challenges are just different. It's figuring out, well, your next visa location and travel logistics, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and like I have mindset, or I have grounding points. So like I know I have to be in the US for my brother's wedding. So I know September 11th, which is crazy, but I have to be in Brooklyn, September 11th. So I know I have grounding points for my family. I'm going to see you. I promise I'll see you September 11th. I'll be there. And that's like a non-negotiable, right? So it's like the non-negotiables. And I'd like to be there for Thanksgiving if I can, because my whole family is coming together for Thanksgiving in the US.
Yeah.
I know it's not big in Canada, but
We have our own.
yeah, exactly. But this Christmas, like my family is going to be all over the world, and my family is very well traveled as well. So it's kind of cool. Like for Easter, they were all over the planet. I mean, my whole family was. My parents were with two other people in our family, and like nobody else was there. They were in Cabo. They were in, I don't even know where. Puerto Rico. Like my brother and I, the other day, we texted him. He was like, "Hey, ciao," or "Hello from Puerto Rico," and I was like, "Hello from Napoli." You know, we sent each other pictures, and like that seems like the new way of family is saying hello from wherever you are in the world. But then there are definite meetup points, right? So within the year, maybe twice a year. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the fun of it, if in a sense, just kind of following your nose. Do you feel some freedom in that, in terms of like, I'm guessing you probably don't know where you're going to be a year from now or even 6 months from now. Does that feel liberating?
Absolutely. And I think this is the way that life is meant to be lived. You know, and it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's like sitting in the uncomfortability is where the power lies, right? The power doesn't lie in the money. I've made the money, to be honest with you, and the penthouse and the blah, blah, blah. I've made the money. Doesn't bring happiness. Doesn't.
Right.
So I'm fortunate enough to know. But I did that on my own. That was not family. That was not anybody. That was me. All me. But I can say it did not bring more happiness. I am much more happy now with less money in the middle of I don't know where.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Okay. And what's your relationship with stuff, with things, physical things? Is that part of it too?
So that's a stress. So my things are in New York. Some of my things are with my parents already, but I plan to ship the rest to my parents. I'm working on it now. Actually, this weekend, people are coming to pick my furniture, but I'm trying to transition out of New York because I realized once I have been here for a little bit, like New York is a rat race, a big rat race. And I feel accomplished that I did it for 5 years. Cool. I learned a lot. You know, I have a thick skin now because of New York, but it's definitely not me. Definitely not me. So therefore, I'm trying to like rope my son and my brother in who are in New York. Like, hey, can you help me get rid of my shit? That's the point. And there are certain things that are important to me, like my artwork and like certain industrial, like Detroit style things that I brought to New York that I would like to keep. So get back with my family, whatever, and the rest, throw it out. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's probably part of this phase of life, and you know, you can downsize. You don't have to have that kind of big space and the stuff that goes with it. I mean, are you basically living out of a backpack, you know, right now, as long as you're over there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, we had an argument about going to Cyprus, about like a backpack with a carry-on. And I was like, no, I don't want to carry on. I don't want to carry on. I don't need a carry-on. I don't even have enough clothes. I came here in February and I only brought like winter clothes. And so the idea was, well, you know, it's 25 euro extra to have a bag. And I was like, what am I going to do? Carry an empty bag on? What's the point of that? No comprende. I don't understand. So it's a funny, like interesting argument to have. It's not an argument, but it's like a conversation. It's like, no, for me, I need nothing more than a backpack.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Yeah.
And
it's just such a weight off your shoulders, but your soul, you know, and it's just, you can be light and free and easy if you need to change. I think comes back to the questions of chaos, you know, and instability, and being able to navigate through all of that. if you have to get up and leave and change where you are and, sudden change of plans, right? When you're not burdened by stuff and sure, and other responsibilities and commitments and things, it makes living. Now, I mean, obviously you've worked hard to get yourself in this position to be able to do that, but then there's people, and honestly myself, I mean, I'm here with a house and 2 kids, and, if something happens, I don't know, I guess it depends what it is, but, do we still have that kind of nimble flexibility, I suppose, in our lives? And I'm sure a lot of people listening, I think my only answer to that has been, well, you kind of do the best you can. So I do my best to minimize. And as much as it's about physical stuff, I think it's about attachment maybe. If we had to up and leave and go somewhere, I mean, there's a lot of turmoil, of course, that's associated with that. But I think the less attached you are to the things, the places even that you are, then it's kind of like being able and willing to let things go. We're here, and this is our home, and I put a lot of effort and love into it. But if we have to let it go, I'll let it go. Presumably, of course, for our own health and safety, too. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I think the point is, okay, wherever you go, you are together. Like, the home is where the heart is. That's true. I think that's actually true. Building islands in the middle of chaos. That's the whole point. How can you construct this island independently? And if I had my time to go back again, I would not do it any differently. As far as like travel, just like Ellie was talking about, I'm going to call it Ellie in this, Ellery Fuller. Because, she was talking about like how her chaotic, quote unquote, chaotic life made her more malleable. Yep. And I didn't have the same kind of life, but I relate with her because I just feel like kids learn from the environment that they're in. So let it go. Let it go. Just travel. Let the house go. C'est la vie. Stay with family when you want to. No, serious. If you have that opportunity, go ahead and stay with family. Everyone's like, oh, that's a bad idea because it's not conventional. No, it's a great idea. And then go live in Puerto Rico. Go live in, Italy. Go live in Cyprus. Yeah. Sure. What? This is the world. And then they learn multiple languages, cultures, all these things. So I think traditional, like, I am so grateful that my son quit school after 8th grade. I'm not saying quit school. Like, he went to, he graduated with an associate's degree from a middle college out of Michigan. And so he had an associate's and a high school diploma the day he graduated at 17. Okay. Wow. And so, it gave him a major advantage, and it was free. I didn't pay $1. So there are programs like middle college programs that people can look into, and they just don't know about them. Unless you meet somebody or you watch a podcast like this, then you're like, oh, okay. Research in your home community because there are tons of programs like this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I guess it comes back to, I really emphasize people. It sounds kind of superficial, maybe glib, but, you really have to know what's the best choice for you, for yourselves, for your family, when there's other people, that you're responsible for. And, I mean, trying to be as intentional as possible. And that comes back to the multipotentialite angle, where we really go through our lives trying to be as intentional as possible in the face of so much pressure to conform, to do this, to make commitments that, we're supposed to make and people expect us to make, and you get pushback and criticism and all this stuff. And it's hard, but you have to kind of look to yourself and say, well, what do I want out of life? And whether that's job or career, whether that's just pursuing interests and hobbies, and whether it's the lifestyle. And for me, it's always been about just flexibility and trying to have as much, I guess, as many options as possible so that if I want to pivot, then I can. And so not locking myself down as much as, I otherwise could. I've always just resisted that kind of pressure, to make these big commitments, I guess. But, I mean, I know that's a common theme that underlies the multipotentialite experience. So we haven't really talked much about that yet. Do you I mean, the multipotentialite is more of a recent term. People say polymath, of course, and then other things. Is that at least a concept that maybe you were aware of, growing up when you were in high school? People ask you, what do you want to do with your life? And I don't know.
Not in high school, and you are one of the first people, but also I think I give credit to Scott Rose because not multi-potentialite, but like he opened that door to my understanding of myself, I think. But you kind of brought it to light in my adult years. Call it my adult years. I'm 21. I'm a young person. I'm 44, but I'm 21.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is like the first chapter of my new life. And I have a brilliant, it's a new book. I have a brilliant first book. Brilliant. Yeah. But then there's going to be another brilliant, second book or second chapter, whatever you want to call it. But from the parents, the older people, there's a lot of pressure. A lot of people feel pressure, and I'm experiencing that in real life. Like so many people, and it destroys people sometimes when they're like, I'm not living up to my parents' potential. It destroys people. And I'm seeing that in real life. And it's like really difficult to watch that because I'm outside of that. So I'm really grateful for where I am as far as like my mindset, and my family now supports me. I don't know if it's because they're so old that they've given up. I'm not sure. I'm like, oh, we're going to try and control her and figure her out. I'm not sure about that. But like, I feel like I have a lot of freedom in my multi-potentiality.
There you go. Yeah.
So I've given myself that, but also I appreciate like people like you and Ellie and like a lot of people that, give ourselves the opportunities to live this kind of polymathic.
That's right.
Life.
Yeah, it's a type of thing, we kind of feed off each other, that collective support.
Exactly.
And not feeling alone, because a lot of people come into the extended multi-potentialite, ILC, and all these communities, that world from a perspective of like, I'm the only person basically I ever knew who felt this way, who's trying to approach life this way. And then you come and find community, and there's all kinds of people trying to do the same thing in different ways. But, we share that same mentality. It's a different perspective on life that, we're kind of that we're not just going to do what people tell us to do. We're going to do what we want to do. But I think there's a part of that too, that we're going to do that. That sounds very selfish, but we're going to do that in ways that are ethical, that are kind and empathetic, that are making people around us happier and healthier, and then ourselves as well as a result. So there's a good groundedness to it, that it may sound like, well, we're just kind of want to do whatever we want. Yeah, there's a deeper purpose to it.
Well, I will say that it's taken me this long to find purpose, and it's been a roundabout situation, but I'm doing a really great project with Rescue 2.0, and I won't get too deep into it because I'm not trying to pitch a company, because it's not a company yet, even not registered. But I feel like, my training in education, I have a master's in education leadership, and then I've been working in tech and commercial real estate and all this stuff. It's like, it's coming together now. It's all combining. And what I want to do ultimately is help somebody, as many people as possible in the world, with this short life that I have. And so that's called legacy. So that's what I called, and that's only within collaboration with you and with Ellie and with a bunch of people in this world, like a bunch of people in this world. When I have conversations, even with business people today, it's like, I don't talk business. We're like, hey, how are you doing? What do you have going on? What are you interested in? Like, how is life? Yeah. And then if there's a collaboration opportunity, we collaborate, period. And then we want to help each other. So it's not about the individual. It's about like, how can we best collaborate? And then it builds the business naturally. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing to me, like in the middle of this chaos. That's what I'm talking about, like global chaos. I don't watch the news, but there's all these things going on, all this noise going on. But in the middle of this, we, Ted, you and I, and all these people, great people who have great intention to help other people, are building these little islands, not little, grand islands that are growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And that is my vision for this world.
That's wonderful.
for the future.
Well, that's a great way in our final few minutes here. How can people reach out to you? But in particular, this is a chance to share, the business in the ways that in a tangible, practical way, the services, the things that you offer, and how you'd like to connect with people.
I like to best connect through LinkedIn. I'm not on Instagram or Facebook, but LinkedIn, find me, Heather Martel. But I would say that, like, I love collaboration in any way, even if it's strange. Sometimes, like, the strangest collaborations end up being the most fruitful collaborations that can help with most people. So if you want to help people, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Cool. And then in what ways do you want to help people? And we could relate this back to Venture Mosaic for sure, or if there's something similar. But services, right? And the ways that, when people come to you and say, oh, I need help with something, what is it that you help them with?
So basically, I dive into their due diligence. Like, a bunch of people think they're Zuckerbergs, which is great. Great ideas, great platforms. I mean, AI, everything. But when it comes down to it, they're like, oh, I won $100,000, or I won $100 million, or $100 million. I basically roll them in and say, like, hold up, you need this documentation, and bring it to practicality. I bring it back down to, I'm the boring person who says, like, okay, check, 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 check. I try to keep it as fun as possible, but I go through documentation and I make sure that you're investor ready and that you're ready for capital. And then after that, I can introduce you to people. If you are investor ready, then I can introduce you to people with capital. Right.
Okay. Cool. Are there types of businesses maybe that you try to look for to work with? Does it matter?
Nope. Industry agnostic. So that's why I called it Venture Mosaic, because it's a mosaic. If it's a company that is a good company, for good is always better. I work with for-profits and nonprofits, but if it's a for-profit that maybe, they're doing home inspections, for example, is one of my clients, that's fine. If it's a good person, I'm happy to help them. And they have a family, they have a couple of kids, I'm happy to help them. So the whole point is, like, let's just help each other, period.
That's wonderful. That's great. That's kind of it. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful to have you here. Learn some of your story.
You too, Ted. I appreciate it.
And we'll keep in touch and see where you're at. Really, who knows? Who knows where you're going to be in like 6 months or something. It's amazing.
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. No, I don't wish I could tell you, because I'm liking this. I'm liking it. I'm liking it right now. Okay? I'm going with the flow. But I get where you are too. I really do understand. But I would say, like, stability isn't always what it's cracked up to be. So just let it go and go travel with your kids. That would be my advice, honestly, because kids learn more through culture, language, travel, communication. Yes, put them in programs, like go live somewhere for 6 months or a year or something, but like let them be immersed in different cultures. To me, that's like the most important thing as a parent, as a successful parent, and I can claim that. If nothing else, I can claim that I'm a successful parent, and I was a single mom for 15 years. Totally single mom, independent, and there were hard days. Don't get me wrong. But I did it, and I'm proud of myself. And I would recommend letting life be a little crazy and unstable, because now my son is thanking me for the instability as an actor.
That's it.
Because it gave him grounding now where he's at. Yeah.
And, and in his case, he's probably not as overwhelmed by change and, unexpected things, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's funny, on our trip to Portugal, like 3 years ago, and the kids were 5 and 7 at the time. And it helps that we have pictures around the house, but they still remember it vividly, just the experience of walking down the streets and the smells and music and things.
Oh,
so,
nice.
And my brother right now, he and his family, they have 3 kids, and they're all about the same age, kind of between, 13 and 7. And they're on a around the world odyssey for, I think it'll be 7 months in the end. They spent most of the time in China. but they spent a good 2 months or something there, maybe 3 months. And then they were in Egypt. They went to Istanbul in Turkey. They spent some time in Greece. Right now they're in Albania as we're speaking. And they're carrying on through Europe, and they fly home from Dublin on June 6th, I just learned. So you can imagine that too, right? Because like their oldest was finishing grade 8, which here is like the last year before you get to high school. And all the kids, all three of them, of course, took, 6 months off of school. So you can imagine some of the pushback. There were teachers, I don't know the whole story, but there were some teachers that were like, it's amazing, go for it, that's incredible. There were others who are like, but they're going to miss school. They can't miss school. What are you going to do?
I would not. I think school is meant for industrial mindset. I totally disagree with the common knowledge of the common understanding of school. And I would say, go on, take your money and run, sell your house and go.
Yeah.
That's my message for the day. Serious.
Yeah.
In Italiano, serioso, molto importante per tu bambini, molto importante per visiamo molto sedia ora.
Yeah, excelente. Grazie. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there. It's been fun, and we'll keep in touch, and everyone will put link, of course, in the notes here, but reach out to Heather, and I know she'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear about the conversations that you have, so we'll keep in touch.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ted. And thank you for all that you do. I appreciate you. Ciao, Samuel.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Mi grande amica, Samuel.
Grazie.
Sì, grazie. Ciao.
Well, I love seeing people do the digital nomad thing, or really however you want to call it, slow travel. I like calling it slow travel, I think, as much as anything. I've usually approached travel that way. Going back, 20 years, I would always approach travel, the planning of travel in the first place, from the perspective that I want to go for more than like a few days or more than a week or two kind of thing. I want to travel for as long as possible. And, you do the best you can. It depends, of course, how much time and how much money and everything else that you need. But at least to start with that perspective that I want to do more than just a short trip, if at all possible, if it makes sense. And certainly when you're talking about, going to Europe or anywhere else around the world, whatever it may be, even other parts of the country. I've certainly done that a lot here in Canada, and that I didn't want to just see parts of Canada, for a few days. I wanted to go and live in different parts of the country, which I did. So I really, really resonate with that mentality, and we love chatting about it here on the Multipod. As always, if that speaks to you, I'd love to hear your story of digital nomad and slow travel and living a different kinds of life that involves travel too. So reach out to us here at the Multipod, the multipodcast@gmail.com. And I'd love to share your story. In fact, this was a good segue. I hadn't planned it this way, but speaking spontaneously here, my very next guest is doing something similar. So Jen Kelly is joining us next time, and she is in the midst of actually starting a remarkable trip, ostensibly across Canada. I guess we'll see how far she gets, but it's kind of a mix of like couch surfing, finding shared accommodation, and bringing people together who have that to offer. So not just for her, but for anyone else who needs that type of temporary accommodation to help facilitate traveling and basically exploring, and in our case, moving around Canada, because she's from British Columbia. She's from Victoria, Vancouver Island. I believe we'll be talking from Penticton, which is in the interior of British Columbia, by the time her episode comes out, which will be on June 1st of 2026. Who knows where she'll be, but a lot of this is very spontaneous. I'm not quite sure exactly what she has to share with us and how she's putting it together, but I know it's really fascinating. She's been asking me a lot about offers and needs and how to turn that concept into an accommodation kind of format. So people offering accommodation, of course, and who need it. Do you bring people together then in person to kind of barter that? Can you do it online? And how do you set that up? So I've been helping her a bit with that. We'll learn more about it. You can tell I'm really excited for that conversation and sharing it with you. So it comes back, sure, travel, but also how we spend our time, how we prioritize our interests and, our lives when it comes to work and the commitments that we make. Love chatting about that here on the Multipod. So again, I'd love to hear your story too, if you have one along those lines, or if you'd like to learn more about it, get in touch. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.